Over the last 20 something years, I've had the opportunity to see and hear a lot of amazing things in the real estate space. One of the things that I've never seen or never heard was context around what works and why. So, for example, with real estate recruiting, everybody says, well, you need to recruit and you need to get meetings, you need to make phone calls. And that's all well and good, but nobody ever talks about what not to do or what doesn't work. So, to give you an analogy, if you were thinking about maybe trying to lose some weight, the conventional wisdom is, well, you need to watch your diet and you need to exercise. The problem with that statement is, what exactly does that mean? Well, some people will hear that and think they need to start drinking Diet Coke and running 150 miles a week. The downside to that is that the Diet Coke will increase your insulin resistance, and running the 150 miles will put your body into a state where it starts saving calories or storing calories rather than burning calories. So it actually has the opposite effect. So something that should be done is probably more in the middle. So yes, diet and exercise is the correct prescription to lose weight, but it's not the whole story. We have the same thing in real estate with both agents and their production and what brokers and managers should be doing. So what I'd like to do today is share with you a persona or a caricature or a person that I've had the pleasure of coming across several times, quite a few times actually, even just a few times this year. And that person is reminiscent of a character from the movie Glen, Garry, Glen Ross. Now, if you've never seen the movie, you should absolutely watch it. Basically, the movie's about these timeshare salesmen and their struggles with making sales and closing deals, getting leads, and all of this kind of stuff. One of the characters in the movie is played by Jack Lemmon, and he really struggles with getting the good leads. He needs the Glengarry leads. He needs the good leads, and that's what's holding him back from being successful, is if he only had these good leads, then he would be successful. So I run across this quote unquote person a couple times a month, honestly, and it always starts the same way. They'll ask a question during a demo of the platform and say something like, well, can I pull a list? How do I pull a list? How do I get the list? How do I get the leads? In real estate recruiting, it's all in the MLS. It's all already there anyway. You don't really need some detailed analysis because there's just everybody that's there. Now, just like in the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, these guys are going out and they're trying to transact. They're trying to have a one-time transaction to sell a timeshare to somebody. And your agents are doing the same thing, ostensibly, with trying to get people to buy a home or an investment property. But you, as the broker or manager, are not trying to have a transaction with these potential agents. You are trying to recruit them into a long-term relationship, which is completely different than a transaction. And you have to approach it differently as well, because the signature, when they decide to come on board and go through the onboarding process, is just the start of the relationship. It's not the end. With a timeshare sale or a real estate transaction, it could be the end. Now, they may become repeat customers, but ostensibly that's it. That's the end of the deal. That's the last you'll ever talk to them, potentially. With recruiting and real estate, that's not it. That's the start of the relationship. So everything that happens up until them coming on board is very important to remember and keep in mind, because you're going to need to refer back to this. Why did they join our company? Why did they decide to leave their other company? Are we delivering on the stuff that we promised them in the recruiting process? So the list guy that I run across on a monthly basis will say things like, oh, we need to pull a list. We need to send out a blast. So what they'll do is they'll put 10,000 people into their pipeline they're trying to recruit, and now they're going to send out 10,000 emails to all of these agents to help recruit them. So when you look at what makes doctors so successful, it's not that they do 10,000 surgeries a year. It's that they did one surgery one time really, really well, and then they copy that 10,000 times. And real estate recruiting is the exact same thing. You need to have a process that works one time and then do that 10,000 times. You can't send out one email to 10,000 potential agents and assume that you're going to be able to recruit off of this, because two things are going to happen. Number one is you're going to get blocked as spam, or you're going to get flagged, you're going to get your account shut down, whatever. So that's that side of things. The other side of things is, what happens if it actually worked? What happens if your message was so successful that you had 10% of the people respond? Well, that'd be 1,000 agents that were trying to join your brokerage tomorrow, there's no way you could even write back to all of them, much less meet with all of them, which is going to have a detrimental effect on your brand and your organization. So worst case scenario is a disaster, and the best case scenario is also a disaster. So why would you do this? The answer to this and the context around all of this is to find some agents that you want to recruit and actually start a relationship with them. We've all heard that real estate is a relationship business. It's a contact sport, all of these different sort of platitudes. We all know this, but what does that actually mean? What that means, practically speaking, is today is Monday, let's say. I'm going to talk to 5 agents. And maybe it's not necessarily on the phone. Maybe it's via text, via email. Maybe it's via social media. If the agent that you're trying to recruit is super active on Facebook, guess where you should be? On Facebook, interacting with their posts, liking, their pictures that they're posting, commenting about the great family vacation they just had. Start a relationship with them. And you can't do that with 5,000, 1,000, even 500 agents today, but you can do it with 5. And then tomorrow you can do another 5. And you keep doing this for about 30 or so days, at which point you decide that they're not interested right now and you put them into a long-term nurture campaign. But every day you're really just focused on 5 people. And obviously you need to have a system to help manage this and keep track of all of this and keep you on task. But the idea of it's a numbers game, we're just going to blast it out there, got to pull a list, all of this kind of stuff. Again, it's either going to not work or it's going to not work. In either scenario, it doesn't work. So what does work is picking a small subset of people and very intentionally going after them. Again, this is the start of the relationship. This is not the end. So whittle your list down, find 10 to 15 people that you want to go after today. In 3 Data Pulse, we have an entire campaign built around this that we can drop into your account that makes sure that you're staying in front of these people at a really high level across all mediums for 30 days and then drops them into a campaign after that. So if you're currently a 3 Data Pulse customer, please let me know and we'll get that campaign into your account if you want it. But otherwise, you can do this with any system. You just need to make sure that you're staying in front of them, staying top of mind, interacting with them where and how they want to be interacted with, and not so worried about, well, who's got the leads and who's got the good ones and who's got this and who's got that. Because the truth is, nobody knows unless you know that agent, unless you have that relationship with the agent. If you've ever listed and sold before and you've switched companies, you think about what you did in advance of you switching companies and what that looked like. Most of that's not in the MLS, not reliably anyway. So for example, let's say you're looking to switch companies and you get rid of all of your pending business, you close out all your deals, and you don't take any new listings. So you got no pending business, no active listings. Does that necessarily mean that you are going to switch companies tomorrow? Maybe, but also maybe not. Maybe it's a slow time of year for you. Maybe you're getting ready to go on a longer vacation. Maybe you've got health issues. Maybe you got life issues. Who knows what? So just looking at what's happening in the MLS is not a reliable source for what's going on with this agent. What is a reliable source of whether or not this agent is going to join your company is your relationship with them. Not a transaction, not a one-time deal, not an email blast, not a text blast. Start developing true, honest, authentic relationships with the people you're trying to recruit, and I guarantee you will see your conversions go way up very quickly. Until next time.